Okay, hello, Tom Maguire. I was saying in my last review, which I did on Ant Middleton's Zero Negativity, that I think I'm on about 106 reviews so far on YouTube, book reviews. And I started doing these reviews a couple of years ago, literally just with the intention of kind of improving my ability to speak in front of the camera. Basically, these book reviews really are just a way of me just giving my honest opinion on the books that I read. So I absolutely love personal development. I'm completely passionate about it. If you follow me on Facebook at Maguire Total Coaching, I'm constantly giving out free information, advice, hints and tips, inspiration every day to try and help people through the best from the world of personal development, from the stuff that I've read, from the people I speak to. I run my own business as well. I'm a consultant. I'm also a one-to-one life coach as well. So I've got plenty of experience. I'm really passionate about this. And I just want to get the best possible advice out there to people. I'm kind of doing these reviews as well as a way of just kind of reminding myself of the stuff that I've read, sort of reminding myself of the takeaways, the important points. I want my kids one day to kind of look at them and look how ridiculous I am in my younger years and kind of take advice and sort of maybe read some of the books that I've been reading as well. So these reviews are very honest. I will tell you if I don't like something because I want my kids to know whether I like it or not. So if I'm going to be honest to my kids, I'm going to be honest to you, the viewers, as well. So you are just getting honest reviews. So some people will like that, some people won't, but that's what this channel is. So the book, Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty, I can say right from the off that it's really, really good. If you're someone who isn't particularly into personal development and this is kind of a new thing to you, then this book really does kind of cover a lot of really important areas. You could read this one book on personal development, and as long as you take what he says quite seriously, then you can really go a long way to improve your life. So from a personal development point of view, it's really, really useful information. The idea of just thinking like a monk is kind of something that I've kind of found myself doing anyway since I've started my personal development journey, because I've realized that actually we almost start off with these kind of superficial goals around money and business, and we get excited thinking, oh, who I could become, I could earn this much money, I could do this, I could do that. And you realize if you take your personal development seriously, that actually the most important thing is to become the sort of person who can cope with success. So before you even become successful or successful in your own mind, you need to be able to cope with it. If you're someone who is kind of weak and arrogant and negative and resentful, you're likely to find that more money is just going to make you more of those negative things. So you're likely just to become even more selfish, even more arrogant. So you need to become the best person you possibly can before you're ready to even cope with success, before you even start looking at becoming successful. So thinking like a monk is really, really important. And I've found that being a calm person, being someone who's able to listen to people properly, being someone who's able to reflect on myself and kind of, when I'm getting irritable or unpleasant, to actually stop myself and have a look at myself, step outside myself and sort of realize why I'm doing these things and how I can stop it. Because the people around us are really important and life is really short. And I always say that, if things were to end for any of us today or tomorrow, how would we want to be remembered? And Jay Shetty has got about, I don't know, a couple of million followers or something. So he's really, really popular. He's doing really, really well at the minute. I saw him interviewed on Good Morning TV by Piers Morgan the other day. He's got some really good advice. There's nothing overly kind of new or complicated here. If you, like me, are used to personal development, I've probably read over a couple of hundred personal development books in the past 2.5, 3 years. I read lots of other stuff as well, but personal development is kind of the main bulk of what I read, I suppose, along with non-fiction. So there's nothing particularly groundbreaking here. It's all stuff that I've kind of read before or heard before, but it's just really nice to have it the way he puts it across. And I think it does you good to re-establish stuff, to go back over stuff that's important. He talks a lot about gratitude. Gratitude is eternal as far as I'm concerned. If you can practice gratitude, then you're halfway there. Really, that's something that can really improve your well-being and your confidence and really help you put things into perspective. If you listen to people like Gary Vaynerchuk, for example, he's always talking about gratitude and, perspective and being patient and understanding that we should be grateful for even being here. We should be grateful for even being born in the Western world. When you look at other people in other countries, and we do have so much opportunity if we just kind of put our minds to it and, kind of understand that being selfish and greedy isn't the way forward. Being kind and wanting to actually serve people and help people is the way forward. And that's what living as a monk, or this monk mindset that he talks about, is kind of about, really. It's about serving other people and kind of just being the best you can be, to try and kind of help people move forward and be as positive as possible, and try and make your own life as positive as possible. So he talks also about forgiveness, and how when we forgive people, it's not just something that we do for the person we're forgiving, it's actually something we do for ourselves. There's this quote, which I will probably get wrong now, but I can put it in afterwards, where they say that I forgave you. I didn't forgive you because to try and help you, but I actually forgave you because I wanted to escape my own prison. So basically, holding a grudge against someone and holding that over someone is actually keeping you in your own type of prison. In a way, you're actually torturing yourself. So when you forgive people, you're letting that go. He talks a lot about letting go of emotions and just kind of breathing deeply. He talks about how so many of us have this reactive monkey mind, which you've heard a lot about before in personal development. So this idea that our kind of primal monkey mind is kind of just reactive. It seeks instant gratification. It's running around. It's chaotic. And we need to actually do things like meditation and breathing, and sort of deep thinking at times, to try and calm things down and slow things down, so that we're not a slave to our emotions and to our desires. We're actually able to sort of control those and step outside ourselves and look at what's going on, so we can live a better life, basically. He talks about mudita, which is from Buddhism, called sympathetic joy. This is something I've talked about before. The book, is it called Connections by, I wanted to say Yuval Noah Harari, but that's the guy who did Sapiens. It's not him, it's somebody else. I'll edit his name in afterwards. He's done loads of TED Talks. I can't think of his name off the top of my head now. Johan Hari. And in that book, he talks about a female friend of his who was always talking about how she was really swallowed up with jealousy all the time and resentment. She hated it, because jealousy is an emotion we often feel quite embarrassed about. We tend to sort of hide it. And so she was saying how she was often jealous of other people's success. I think it was her cousin she talks about, and she just hated it, and she didn't like who she was becoming. And then she started to practice sympathetic joy, where it's basically, very roughly, the idea that you imagine the person that you're kind of becoming jealous of or resentful of, and instead of feeling like that, you imagine them happy, genuinely happy, and you try to train yourself to feel joy, genuine joy for them, for their success. And actually, it doesn't happen overnight. It's not going to happen the first time you do it, but if you keep doing it, keep practicing it, maybe when you're out and about, if someone irritates you in the street or in a shop or in the car or something like that, instead of getting angry, try and think about that person. Try and think that maybe they're struggling in some way. Then try and imagine them happy, potentially, and actually try and feel joy for them, feeling happy. It might sound really difficult and long-winded, but I've done it, and I'm the sort of person who would never try this stuff before, and it does help. It can really give you a sense of happiness and release, rather than just feeling that negativity and that anger, which is so easy to resort back to, which basically comes from that monkey mind, that chaotic kind of monkey animalistic thinking, where we feel threatened and we just want to lash out because we feel as though we've been wronged. It just causes us more harm than anything else. The person we're getting irritated about doesn't often even realise they've irritated us. It's often nothing personal. They've got their own little mission and their difficulty that they're struggling with, and we're perceiving them in a negative way, and it's upsetting us. So it's about realising that we should just let these things go. He talks about reminding yourself, and this is an interesting one, reminding yourself sometimes of the bad that you've done to other people. So a lot of advice would say to let the past go, forget about the past, it's done, there's no point in defining ourselves by these negative things. Some other advice would say, use those past experiences to realise that they happened for us rather than to us, so that actually it happened and shaped us to become the person we are today, so we should be grateful for them. But he's kind of saying, remind yourself of those bad things you've done to people from time to time to keep you grounded. So rather than allowing yourself to get too big-headed and kind of too successful and too carried away, remind yourself from time to time that actually you have done this or you have done that, and actually you're not perfect, you are an unfinished product, you'll never really be finished. You do need to keep working on things, and it's good to do that, to try and keep yourself a little bit grounded, a little bit humble, because being humble is really important as well when it comes to being happy and successful, and really important when it comes to thinking like a monk, of course. He talks about gratitude of hindsight. So did something happen that was really unpleasant at the time, but actually turned out to be something that we're grateful for now? So think back to things that might have happened that we really sort of hated or made us feel scared or we were resented in some way, but actually we look back now and think, I'm glad that happened. That's actually served me quite well. I'm really grateful for that. And whenever it comes to gratitude practice, try to feel the gratitude, try to concentrate enough that you feel that sense of warmth through your body. He talks about Helen Keller and that quote that she gave where she said that she felt sad because she had no shoes until she saw a man that had no feet. And that's one that's been repeated by lots of people. I don't know if she was the first one or not. It's been handed to Mahatma Gandhi. Lots of different people have said it over the years, I think, but she might have been the original, I think, potentially. And Helen Keller's story is fantastic as well. I'm yet to read that actually, but I've heard a lot about it. I intend to read that very soon. But yeah, basically, Jay Shetty, he does loads of stuff online. I would like to ask him a few questions personally because I feel as though he's, and this might sound a bit unfair, but I think he's so popular and has such a big following that he's probably very, very financially successful. And part of me would be interested to know how he feels about that in terms of his talking about living like a monk, because I think talking about living like a monk means kind of living quite a simplistic life, not really concerning yourself with superficial things, material things. So I'd like to know what he thinks or what he says about the fact that he is so wealthy. I'm assuming he's so wealthy, he must be. I've seen stuff on Instagram where he's been running competitions to win signed copies of his books and things like that. And he's got very clever kind of marketing strategies behind getting 4 or 5 people to share his stuff. And he's extremely popular. He's got a huge following. So he is doing really well. But I would like to know, it might sound a bit of a harsh question, but I would like to know how he feels about that. And maybe he gives loads of his wealth away to charity, potentially. I'd like to think he does, because I just wonder a little bit, almost it's a bit uncomfortably talking about living like a monk, yet being some kind of multi-millionaire. I'd like to think that he kind of uses his money for good, potentially, but, you know, maybe he doesn't. But we don't know, that interests me. But regardless of any of that, the advice in the book is really, really useful. Like I say, if you're not used to personal development, you could read this one book, and I think I said in one of my reviews on Amazon for it that it will help you become the person you didn't even realise you wanted to be, basically. So you might not even realise you want to be this kind of calm, monk-like individual, but actually when you think about it and when you practice it, you realise that actually that's kind of the way forward for a lot of people. And being aggressive and wanting to make loads of money isn't necessarily the best thing you can do for yourself. Although I don't have any problem with people making money. I intend to make lots of money myself through my business and things, but I intend to do it in a way that I don't become kind of overwhelmed and negatively changed by it, basically. I think it's part of playing the game, isn't it? Part of living in a capitalist society, basically, and doing the best you can for yourself and the people you love and for your society as well. So anyway, fantastic book, really, really interesting, highly recommend it. Please like and subscribe, and please follow me on Facebook as well. I'll be doing my webinars very soon, trying to help as many people as I possibly can on there, so that will be good. That's @Maguire Total Coaching. Thanks for your time, and I'll speak again soon. Cheers.